Andrew Giles has to go. He just has to go. This Immigration Minister is terrible in Parliament, but more importantly, is terrible in the decisions that he is making. Now, as you know, they knew how many people were in detention. That's the thing about when people are in detention. You can count how many there are, but we had to pretend, we don't know, maybe 20, maybe 30, it's 100 and what? And we all know how many of these people had serious criminal records. We also know about the number that have gone on to be accused of criminal offences since being released. And of course, there is the legal argument about whether the case of one person getting the right judgment means all of them had to go, or whether you go the long way around and make every single one of them go back for the same scenario. But don't forget, this is the Immigration Minister who had previously spoken about how his heart wasn't in it when it came to turnbacks, a bit like Albo. This is the bloke who basically wanted to be the Immigration Minister because his focus pre-election was all about racism and educating the Australian public about that. But the reality is that he hasn't even used his own laws to apply for one of these people to go back into detention, which is why Peter Dutton is saying this.
This minister has to go.
Order.
This weak Prime Minister needs to show leadership and get rid of...
Resume your seat.
Christie, it's obvious he has to go, but any government that hasn't had to sack is going to hold on for way too long. Well, guess what they're doing? Well, like every other government, they're holding on way too long before they get rid of their first one.
And of course, with the by-election coming up on the 2nd of March, Labor needs to present we're a united team, we know what we're doing, we're on track. They can't afford any gaps. And Peter Dutton has found the gap with Andrew Giles, and he's zeroed in on it with laser focus. That does two things. That demonstrates the Albanese government's team is not led by competent front benchers when they're lasered in on and they're held to scrutiny at a time when the Prime Minister's not getting cut through himself. So his umbrella overarching effect is not as strong as it once was. And it does another thing. It takes the focus off the government trying to sell the tax cuts with the impending $40 million. But we all know they've started this massive sales job without it. So it dilutes the message for the government, and it really has let Peter Dutton show his chops. We know that policy has failed. We know the government let Australia down on that immigration debacle. One, the Attorney-General was not taking the advice from the Australian government's solicitor. His eye was off the ball. He was locked in a room writing legislation for a referendum that was never coming to pass. Two, Andrew Giles clearly wasn't doing his job properly either. And three, the Prime Minister wasn't doing his, and there's Claire O'Neill in there somewhere as well.